Okay, we are live. We are running late because we had a little bit of a problem with our camera system here, but we got it kind of situated. Um, we are on the Richardson family murders. Uh, I don't know if you guys have like read into it or anything like that, but this is an interesting one. Um, they let's see, they're from Canada. Um, that's I guess it was like a little suburban home, and it was called Medicine Hat, Alberta, Canada. Um, let's see. The household consisted of Jean Mark Richardson, 42, his wife, Deborah Richardson, age 48, their daughter Jasmine Richardson, age 12, and their son Tyler Jacob Richardson, which was 8. Uh, they had relocated from Medicine Hat, Ohio, Sunbury, Ontario, I'm sorry, where they maintained community ties following the murders. Acquaintances described Mark, Deborah, and Jacob. They were as loving, giving individuals actively engaged in family life. Little public information exists regarding the parents' occupations, but the family presented unremarkable within their middle class neighborhood prior to the events of April in 2006. Um, Jasmine Richardson was born October 21st, 1993, in Canada. That's the eldest child of Mark and Deborah Richardson, which the younger brother Jacob Tyler, the uh they resided in a split level home. Her parents, who had overcome prior drug addictions, maintained sobriety during her upbringing and provided a stable environment after initially relying on food banks. As a child, Richardson oops, was described as an honor roll student at a Catholic school, participating in like fine art activities and exhibiting no notable issues. Around age 11 or 12, she began displaying rebellious tendencies, which that's probably around an age that you would do that. And an obsession with goth through the online platforms such as like MySpace, VampireFreaks.com. I didn't know they had that.
Yeah.
VampireFreaks.com. You knew about that? I never knew about that. I guess I wasn't really into that. Where she misrepresented her age and expressed an interest in figures like serial killers like Jeffrey Dahmer, musician Marilyn Manson, and adopted like aesthetics including like black clothing, fish set knocking, stockings, stuff like that, heavy makeup, goth stuff. Um, Her parents responded to these changes by imposition restrictions, including grounding her upon discovering online communications with older individuals, confiscating the computer, initiating family counseling sessions, which none of those probably worked anyway.
No, they just lash out more.
Yeah. Um, they try to monitor her media stuff to curb it, but it just Richardson reportedly went under the measures of viewing them as overly controlling, which strained the family dynamics to a growing defiance. Um, Trial evidence later reviewed her frustration manifested into online discussions, and including online discussions and extreme actions against her family, including a reference films like Natural Born Killers. That was a pretty good movie.
It was.
That was a very good.
Not for a 12-year-old,
No,
but
no.
it was.
Um, uh, Jeremy Stonick, he was born in 1983. Of course, Medicine Hat. Canada. Okay, we're having a problem here. Okay, here we go. Yeah. Okay. He was born to the mother Jacqueline May, whose alcoholism and relationships with abusive partners contributed to his unstable early home environment, including physical mistreatment such as having his head forced into a deep freezer by one stepfather. Frequent family moves disrupt his ability to form stable friendships, exacerbating isolation. Diagnosed with ADHD, he endured bullying at school and began using alcohol and drugs at a young age. Um, Stank dropped out of high school during the 10th grade and briefly enrolled at Medicine Hat College before abandoning his studies. He held various low-skill jobs, maintained no consistent employment or career path by his early 20s, leading to description as unemployed in a court-related accounts. At age 16, he resided briefly with his biological father before living independently. Well, immersed in goth subculture, he aspired to become a metal musician, frequent punk rock events, and consume media like Natural Born Killers. There's just something up with that. Alongside expressing fascination with serial killers. Should we be worried about this? Because this is us right now. Should we be worried about this? This is us right now.
I know.
Except for Natural Born Killers.
I'm trying not to giggle about it.
But I was into this kind of stuff when I was younger, but I didn't do like what he's doing though. But alongside expressing fascination with serial killers, he self-identified as a 300-year-old werewolf. I guess they had that back then too, where here you can self-identify as a cat. We won't get into that though. Wore vial containing blood around his neck and actively participated in goth websites such as vampirefreaks.com, Nexopia, under handles like Soul Eater, while he shared content and reflect low self-esteem, substance use, and occasional I'd eaten, including statements about enjoying the killing of prostitutes to connect with peers. Like younger goths, sometimes he'd offer drugs or alcohol to them. Okay, now just to let you guys know, Jeremy Stank is Jasmine's 23-year-old boyfriend. Just so you know. I don't know if you guys remembered when I did the whatever. Because the daughter, remember, she killed the mom and the dad and the brother. And she was 12 and she had her 23-year-old boyfriend. So we're getting down to it now. Now Jasmine, age 12, first connected with 23-year-old Jeremy Stein in January of 2006 through the goth-oriented social networking vampirefreaks.com. Remind me not to go on that site, because apparently that's not a good idea.
You want to meet no freaks?
No, not that kind of. No. Richardson misrepresented her age online, claiming to be older. The pair initiated a romantic relationship, bonding over shared interests, punk goth, horror stuff, including him being a 300-year-old werewolf who wore blood around his neck. Their interactions online messaging met to in-person meetings, which Richardson sneaking out of her home to see him, despite her parents' immediate and firm opposition to the relationship, owning an 11-year age gap. And his unconventional lifestyle as a high school dropout. You know, he's 300 years old. Just saying, I mean, that's what he's saying. He's a 300-year-old vampire. Or, werewolf. I mean, that's what he says.
Yeah.
By early 2006, the couple had reportedly attended a punk rock concert together, further, making their connection, solid. Steinek had a fascination with violent media and Richardson's rebellion against family restrictions. The relationship grew, really pretty strong within a few months. by secretive communications. Of course, you know how they do when they're young like that. They're gonna find ways, even though the parents say no. They find ways. Everybody does. They'll find ways. Um, where would I go? Oh yeah. They committed a partnership and had online platforms and age desperation connections and through parental interventions, and that only heightened them to do it some more. Uh, Mark and Deborah Richardson disapproved of her daughter Jasmine's romantic involvement. The whatever. The parents forbade her to go out with him, and of course grounded her, took her computer, phone privileges, and monitored what she did. I mean, it's 11-year-old age gap between the 12-year-old and adult man that says he's 300 years old. Werewolf. So the parents' intervention intensified to the couple's resentment, with Jasmine expressing frustration online, comparing her parents' tyrannical figures in the film Natural Born Killers.
They were obsessed with this movie.
Yeah, she's then admired, later cited as inspiration. In weeks leading to the crime, Jasmine emailed Stank outlining a scheme to eliminate her family as primary bearer to their union, stating that the intentions that began with killing with enabling cohabitation. This is crazy. All Natural Born Killers. I mean, it was a good movie, but you're really gonna go based off
Cliff
that?
Notes or something.
I don't know. Um. Oh, wow. Crown prosecutors later argued during Stank's trial that the murders of Mark and Deborah were directly motivated by their opposition to the relationship, framing the killings in which means to removal of parental authority. Okay, what about the kid though? The son, their 8-year-old brother or 8-year-old whatever. They don't kill him. Well, I guess they don't need witnesses. I don't know. Guess we'll find out. Escalation is in practical steps. They purchased knives and rubber gloves, and while Jasmine ensured access to the family home by leaving the basement window unlocked, setting the stage for the attack on the following night. She's planning these murders. Boy, this wasn't like premeditated or anything.
No, not at all.
This is all back in. Now, this was in April 2006 that they were doing this. And the weeks leading up to the murders, Jasmine initiated discussions with Jeremy about eliminating her family to remove the barriers to their relationship. So on or around March 2006, like March 20th, Richardson emailed Stank stating, "I have a plan. It begins with me killing them and ends with me living with you." Now that's a plan right there. I mean, that's solid.
Well, he had 300 years to come up with it.
Well, no, that was her. Oh yeah, you're right. In the weeks leading up to it, yeah. So their planning incorporated elements to facilitate an attack escape, including Stank's purchase of a truck for getaway purposes, the arrangements to leave the family's side door open. I guess they left the side door unlocked on the night of April 23rd, 2006. The couple drew inspiration from the film Natural Born Killers. Humiliating it, narrative lovers defy authority through the violence and refer to their communications, Stive's self-identification as a werewolf, aligned with his gothic fantasies. It escalated too because of the parental restrictions with her and her parents. So he details on her family's routine on target and effective while they slept. Now, court evidence, I guess, recovered emails and testimonies and stuff like that, leading to the conviction for Stein's conviction for 3 counts of first-degree murder, which under Canadian law requires proof of planning and deliberation, and that pretty much did it. Richardson's tried separately under the Youth Criminal Justice Act, which was found guilty of first-degree murder charges, underscoring the premeditated, coordination because of her, despite her age, even though she was like the one who wanted to do it. No evidence suggested impulse action. Instead of the time from, well, it was an impulse, I can tell you that. Instead of the time from initial proposal to execute over a span over a month, which consists of intent document and digital records seized by police. So it was definitely
premeditated.
Oh yeah, definitely premeditated by far. Um, the crime, the execution, was done on April 23rd, 2006. Um, Jeremy entered the Richardson family residence through an unlocked basement window shortly after 5 a.m. on April 23rd. After Jasmine had facilitated access by leaving it open, wearing a mask to conceal his identity, a black mask, Jeremy first confronted and stabbed Deborah Richardson multiple times in the basement, inflicting at least 12 wounds that proved fatal. Oh, yeah, I can imagine. He then attacked Mark Richardson, which is the father, in the same location, stabbing him over 24 times. Mark resisted the assault, arming himself with a screwdriver in an attempt to defend the intruder, which, during the struggle, Mark questioned Jeremy's motives by saying, "Why?" To which Jeremy responded, "It's what your daughter wanted." The killings of... Boy, that was a smack in the face, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That would have given me more no motive to knock him out, but yeah. During the struggle, Mark questioned, and he said, yeah, the killings were carried out using knives, with the basement serving as the initial site of parental murders before the perpetrators moved upstairs. Upstairs, Jasmine participated by stabbing her 8-year-old brother Tyler Jacobson in the chest and in the face. Jeremy completed the act by slitting the boy's throat, severing his jugular vein and causing fatal injuries. The sequence reflected and premeditated diversion roles, with Stein handling the parents and both perpetrators involved in the child's death. Results the death of all 3 family members within the home. Wow. Now, a young boy spotted a body visible through the window of the Richardson family home and alerted his mother, who promptly contacted police. Including Inspector Brent, arrived around 1 p.m. and observed one person lying on the ground in the through a basement window, initially prompting for backup in hopes of a possible rescue. Well, hate to tell you. When they entered the residence, police discovered the bodies of Mark, 42, Deborah, 48.
They were young.
And they were in the basement. Mark had 24 stab wounds, including 9 in the back, while Deborah had 12 stab wounds that was covered in blood. Upstairs, their son Jacob, he was 8, and he was in his bed with his throat slashed. Additional stab wounds to the chest and face, and blood-soaked scene marked bloody handprints on the walls. All 3 were pronounced dead from their injuries at the scene. At the time of the discovery, Jasmine Richardson, the 12-year-old daughter, was absent from the home, initially presumed to be another victim or kidnapping, leading police to launch an urgent search for her. Well, not to be a surprise there. The crime scene was secured with forensics and evidence, later pointing to involvement by Jasmine and her associate Jeremy, who was apprehended the following day, approximately 140 kilometers away in Liters, Saskatchewan. I'm not really for sure where that's at, but yeah, I don't think they got very far. We're up to the investigation. Jasmine, she became the youngest person in Canada in the Canadian history to be convicted of multiple first-degree murders at age 12. And Jeremy was an older, influence-driven boyfriend with an obsession with dark themes. On that. Well, we also know what their motives were. They were obsessed with vampires and natural-born killers. The Medicine Hat police officers responded to the Richardson residence and prompting a welfare check where they discovered the bodies of all 3. Um, they were doing photographs and swabs and all that stuff and DNA, and um, they revealed over 100 blood drops in the upstairs hallway leading to Jacob's room. Spray patterns consistent with him being stabbed outside of his bedroom before his throat was slashed inside, and the blood from the victim's stairwells, basement like futon, fireplace, and the ceiling. That's crazy. They also collected like multiple knives and from the scene. Um, they collected blood DNA from Jasmine and Jacob, and a bent tip knife from the family room recovered in Mark Richardson's blood, and fingernail clippings and other biological stuff. Footwear impressions they found. They were analyzed, and they matched shoes owned by Jeremy found outside the home. In the bathroom and on a toy box along partial matches of Jasmine's shoes. Luminol agents detected traces of blood upstairs, the bathroom, the floor, the shower, the kitchen. Autopsies confirmed the cause of death of stab wounds, with Jacob showing signs of prior strangulations, and samples were sent to DNA, the DNA labs. Following discovery with Jasmine initially missing, police initiated a search tracking her and Jeremy to leader Saskatchewan, leading to their arrest the day after, which was April 24th. Jeremy's truck seizing items include 3 knives, 1 dot of Mark's blood, male clothing, a neoprene mask, shoes, a medicine hat news edition from April 24th, and a wallet, all subject to DNA blood analysis, linking them to their victims and suspects. Recorded conversations and letters from the suspects were also included. They were collected. That's crazy.
Now they didn't say who killed the brother though, right?
She did. She killed the brother, and he finished off by slashing his throat and the jugular.
Unreal.
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
I couldn't imagine killing my family like that. Not that young of age. I'm just saying. I mean, 12 years old. You know, you're talking about homecoming times and stuff like that. He disappeared. Oh, there. That's crazy. And this is, I can't say it's all him, because she was probably like into that kind of stuff too. But he didn't help any being 23 years old and being a werewolf.
Well, somewhere I seen where it said she told them that she did it because she thought it'd bring them closer together. Meaning in their relationship.
Well, we're getting to the arrest interrogation, so that might shed some light on that one. I was like,
hell of a way to make a partnership there.
Because, she wanted to get rid of the parental figures here. That was the whole point of this situation. Yeah. Let's see. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police. That sounds cool. The Royal Canadian. I like that. Why can't they say
we will have to give you a 3-title name.
A Royal Canadian Mounted Police. That sounds really cool. It's like you want to be arrested in Canada now, just so you can say that you're arrested by the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. We need to go there now and just say, can you arrest us? Just put our hands behind our back so we look like we got arrested by the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. So we can just snapshot this. On April 24th, 2006, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police in Saskatchewan pulled over a green Dodge. Boy, they really picked a winner. They're green. Something that's obvious to catch. It couldn't have black or white or gray. Something that's average. A green Dodge pickup truck driven by Jeremy, of course, because she's of course probably not old enough. And near Leader, which is Medicine Hat, Alberta, following an alert of a 12-year-old missing girl matching Jasmine. traveling with an adult male. They identified Jeremy, 23, and Richardson as occupants of the vehicle. The vehicle revealed bloody knife and clothing and stained with apparent blood and leading to their immediate arrest and suspicion of involvement in the murders discovered the previous evening, which were transported back to Medicine Hat for processing. Who would Medicine Hat? Who would move to Medicine Hat? That's just asking for a murder. Medicine Hat.
It's up where the werewolves live.
I don't know.
Come on, get it
Medicine
together.
Hat. I don't know if you were like in a town, when you pick a town, would you pick Medicine Hat? I personally would go to
strange.
a Royal Canadian Mounted Police place.
Yeah, you would.
I would absolutely go there. You know, I would be like, yep, we're gonna move to this town, Royal Canadian. I bet you there's Mounted Police here. And they're probably on. I wonder if they were on horses.
I was waiting for you to say that.
I'm just
in
saying.
their little red suits and their swords.
Hey, don't they have cigarettes called that too? Maybe not. Don't they have Royal Canadian cigarettes?
Not that I know of.
Oh, maybe that's just on like King of the Hill or something. You know, they had Royal Canadian cigarettes here that Bobby was smoking at one time. Anyway, I'm just saying. So, okay, so during their interrogations, he confessed to stabbing Richardson's. Well, both were, yeah, they were formally charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder each. During their investigation, their interrogation, shortly after the arrest, Stein confessed to stabbing Richardson's parents, Mark and Deborah, and the family dog.
But
what's the dog gonna do? He gonna go tell on you?
Well, he didn't like them dressed in black.
Well, I don't know, but
the dog didn't agree with them being gods. I don't know.
Jeez, oh man, you don't want any witnesses, even the dog.
Well, the dog might have been trying to go after him for going after the family.
Oh yeah, you're right. Stating he acted out of love for Richardson to liberate her from what he described as an abusive parent control, and then he denied responsibility for killing her brother, insisting Richardson that she did it. He reportedly expressed no remorse in his statements, framing the acts.
So he thought they were abusive because they didn't want her to dress all gothic?
Because
I didn't hear any other complaints except for that they dress gothic.
Yeah, framing the acts as necessary to be together, influenced by his self-identification with gothic and supernatural personas. Richardson, treated as a youth offender under the Canada's Justice Act, was interrogated separately. She initially denied any knowledge or participation, claiming Jeremy acted alone, but then forensic evidence, of course, including her bloody footprints at the scene matching the brother's murder, contradicted her account.
But with the age difference, does he get in trouble for sleeping with someone that's only 12? On top of that, maybe they...
Well, if he got life, I don't think it matters at that point.
Well, you just want to stack them all up there.
Well, I'm sure they stacked it. I'm sure he took a plea deal and they dropped a few of those things just to give him those 3 murder charges that he got. Oh yeah, you know they're stacking them charges on him. A judicial review later determined that the police had denied Richardson her charter rights during the initial questioning by failing adequately to explain to her right to silence and consult lawyer in age-appropriate terms, rendering parts of her early statement admissible to the proceedings. So she could change her story again if she wanted to. Both suspects shift blame regarding Jacob's death during the interviews, with each accusing the other of fatal slashing the throat of the 8-year-old. The ballistics and DNA evidence ultimately linked Richardson to the act of the knife wound consistent with her reach. Jeremy's admissions were upheld as voluntary Miranda-like warnings, providing key prosecutorial evidence by his later trial claims of mental issues. Well, they all try to do that. They all try to do mental issues. They did it insane. They weren't insane when they were planning all of it, but they're only insane when it comes time to getting busted for it.
Right. That's everybody, though.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna go kill somebody and claim insane, even though I have everything written down that I did.
Let's see how far you get.
I'm just saying, it's all pre-planned. And
First, you gotta
I like when
let
it's
everyone know that you're a 300-year werewolf.
I like when it's on video and they're like, "It
Wasn't
isn't
me.
what it looks like." I've heard that one before.
Wasn't me.
That it's not what it looks like, but it shows you doing what you said you're not doing, even though it shows you doing it. What is it not what it looks like kind of deal? When you're holding a knife chasing somebody and you say it's not what it looks like, that's kind of
True.
You explain to me what that's not what it looks like.
You're reading it all wrong.
Jeremy and Jasmine stated that the primary motivation for the murder is to remove parental barriers. This was their reasons. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Oh my gosh. Their relationship in an email to Jeremy prior to the killings, Richardson explicitly outlined her intent writing, so I have this plan. It begins with me killing them and ends with me living with you. Oh. Okay. I'm sure she was insane when she said that. Reflecting her desire to eliminate her parents and live freely with her boyfriend. The police investigation following her arrest, Richardson confessed to stabbing her 8-year-old brother Jacob, explaining that she did do so. It was too sad to leave him as an orphan.
Oh my goodness. It's a good reason to kill your brother.
He wouldn't be an orphan. He'd go with family if they had some. But he'd be an orphan, no parents. You know. Indicating state rationale tied to sparing him received the suffering after her parents' deaths. So they didn't want him to future suffering after her parents' deaths. Ugh.
How nice of them to think of him that way.
I'm sure that was planned too. Jeremy corroborated the retaliational motive during the confrontation with victim Mark, reporting telling him it's what your daughter wanted as he carried out the attack. His own statement to investigators, Jeremy admitted to murdering Mark and Deborah Richardson by stabbing them repeatedly in acts of graphic terms by framing them as fulfillment of Jasmine's wishes to enable their want to slip. They will regret the shit they have done. Their blood shall be payment. Directing a hostility to their... that's hostility. To their interference in his relationship with Richardson. Wow. Through these, drawn from the interrogations and trial evidence, digital stuff, and they presented that in Jeremy's 2007 first-degree murder trial, which emphasized, their goal of overcoming family disapproval through lethal means. He, without reference to broader ideological or extreme justifications in their direct accounts, which he's, I don't know what he was thinking. He was just not going to win. These are their excuses. Jeremy and Jasmine, JJ, immersed themselves in goth subculture on fantasy communities with vampires and werewolves, and adopting the personnel of a soul eater, and claiming to be a 300-year-old werewolf who wore a vial of blood around his neck. That'd be the first person I'd hop for. Richardson using the handle Runaway Devil. Which is Jasmine, using the handle Runaway Devil, met Jeremy through the goth networking sites and altered her appearance, including black clothing, fishnet stockings, heavy makeup, and all that stuff. Prosecutors presented the evidence as the pair drew inspiration through films Outlaw, Natural Born Killers, that kind of stuff. The killings described as a love story. But we know a lot of those don't. While defense argued Jeremy's trial did not successfully mitigate, you know, by attributing diminished responsibility to media consumption, reports note the film's role in shaping their fantasy of escape parental opposition through violence. Um, and legal proceedings, external factors such as Jasmine's diagnosed conduct disorder, and oppositional defiant disorder were referenced in pre-sentenced reports to her behavior, her youth and behavior, but were not deemed excuses for planning or execution of the murders. I mean, there's a lot of people that have ODD and they don't execute murders. Um, Now, Jeremy's attempts to portray the crimes as influenced by cultural fantasies and symptomatic tropes failed to sway the jury, resulting in first-degree murder convictions for both parents and the brother, underscoring judicial rejection of such elements. No peer-reviewed studies or expert testimony credibly linked these influences to deterministic, with outcomes reflecting individual agency, premeditated. Now, Jeremy's legal proceedings, he was charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder on April 25th, 2006, following his arrest for the stabbing deaths of Mark and Deborah and their son Jacob. The charges alleged premeditated killings carried out in concert with his 12-year-old girlfriend Jasmine Richardson, who provided entry to the home and participated to varying degrees. His trial commenced on November 17, 2008, a couple years later. Um, on the social platform Nexio in March 2006, where Jasmine, under the same username Runaway Devil, proposed murdering her parents, and Jeremy, as Soul Eater, agreed, discussing methods to recruit accomplices. You see how that worked. And they detailed Jeremy's entry through the basement window, the use of knives to inflict fatal wounds, and forensic evidence including his DNA at the scene, blood on his clothing, and knives were recovered in his truck. Jeremy's post-arrest statements to police and inmates, including audio recordings where he bragged about the acts, further supported the prosecution's assertion of deliberate execution rather than impulse. Well, of course. Didn't he say that he was insane too?
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't insane when he was talking about it in jail. The defense argued the killings of the parents.
Selective hearing insanity.
Oh yeah. Were spontaneous, influenced by drugs and alcohol, claimed that Jeremy acted primarily to impress her, Jasmine. You're going to impress a 12-year-old with drugs and alcohol? That's, yeah. That's an adult, mature decision. Which they portrayed as an instigator. Jeremy admitted stabbing the parents, but are denied for Jacob's death, of course. And he said that Jasmine was the one that did that. That was, asserting he had urged her to abandon the plan. Yeah, okay, he abandoned the plan. That's why he 24 times one, 12 for the other. That's what your daughter wanted. Despite the contentions, the jury of 6 men and 6 women deliberated 10 and a half hours over 2 days before convicting Jeremy of all 3 counts of first-degree murder on December 5th, 2008, accepting the Crown's evidence of planning and intent. That's pretty much what it was.
I wonder what was holding them up for 10 hours that they couldn't say, look, these two.
Well, they probably went through all the evidence of him saying that he did this and she did that, and they're blaming each other. They probably had to go through all that crap. Even though that was a waste of time, they did it. Who did what. Jasmine, of course, she was 12 at the time. She was probably like 14, I think, I don't know. She was 12 at the time of the murders, was charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder and prosecuted in a youth court, which applies to offenders between 12 and 17 years old and prioritizes rehabilitation for youth persons, allowing accountability in serious cases. In June 2007, at age 14, she was convicted on all counts of following a trial where evidence including her planning the role, participation in stabbings, post-offense behavior such as smiling during interrogations. The court exceptionally lifted the publication ban on her identity under this section of citing the gravity of the multiple first-degree murders and public interest in the case. In October 2007, Jasmine received the maximum sentence available for her youth. Her age, a 10-year intensive rehabilitation, custody, and supervision order designed for serious violent offenders with mental health needs, comprising 6 years in custody with 18 months credited for pretrial detention, followed by 4 years of strict community service supervision. The court findings her seriously disturbed state, including diagnosis of conduct disorder, oppositional defiance disorder, mandating intensive psychiatric treatment, alongside custody to address underlying issues rather than purely punitive measures. They put in place was close custody at the youth facility, transitioning to psychiatric hospital for approximately 4 years of treatment, focused on behavioral modification, remorse development, during which she reportedly expressed regret in writing such as apology letter to a victim shortly after the crimes. Well, yeah, because you got busted, you might as well just do what you gotta do.
It's not like it's gonna lessen your sentence.
Subsequent phases involved graduate release after custody period ending around 2012. Jasmine served the remaining term under conditional supervision in a group home, later independent living, which restrictions include curfews, monitoring that were progressively lifted as she demonstrated compliance and low risk. By May 2016, the final court review, she completed the full 10-year sentence and was granted absolute discharge with all supervision ended, sealed her youth records. They don't do that here in Ohio because there's people that are like 16 years old that complicity to murder, that's on your record forever because you're tried as an adult. But probably because she wasn't tried as an adult, that could be why. You know what I'm saying? There's 14-year-olds and stuff like that commit murders in Ohio, and if they're as an adult, well, I'm not for sure of all states, whatever, but Ohio, if you get committed as an adult, don't matter if it's 14, 15, 16, 17.
You don't get to.
Nope, it doesn't do it. Nope. If it is, especially if it's like a murder charge. She got very lucky on that. After 5 additional years absent adult offenses, assessments at the time described by her as her rehabilitated pursuing education, such as attendance on Mount Royal University. Though her past post-release activities remain protected under privacy provisions, this handling exempt rehabilitation framework, which precludes adult sentencing or life imprisonment for those under 18, even in cases of extreme violence. Wow, that's crazy. Jeremy was convicted. He got 3 counts of first-degree murder for the killings of Mark, Deborah, and Jacob, and he received mandatory life sentences with no eligibility for parole for 25 years. The standard penalty for first-degree murder in Canada. Jeremy filed a notice of appeal against his convictions in 2012, seeking a new trial. However, on May 2012, he abandoned the appeal court appearance where he appeared without counsel, confirmed the withdrawal under his legal name. Jasmine, prosecuted as a youth under the Youth Criminal Act, was found guilty first-degree murder in the death of her brother Jacob and second-degree murder of her parents. The court imposed maximum youth, which we discussed all that. Which now she's apparently doing better. That's crazy. That's crazy. She was released in 2016, but like I said, they were, she's doing better. I'm sure she had no portrayal where he was at or anything. I'm sure they made sure they didn't know where he was at. And I don't know.
Hmm.
That's. But I mean, she knew better than to do that. But he was also an influence too. I'm sure.
Right.
So I mean, I can't put the blame all on her, but he was a big influence on her. She knows better not to kill and all this stuff, but I'm sure he said stuff to her like, "We can do this together, and I'll get this for you, and we can live this way," and you know, because when you're 12 and as a 23-year-old living his life, whatever, I mean, that's probably the coolest thing. And then, she's still got her whole life to go. I wonder if he's still a werewolf where he's at.
Well, I wonder if she visits him like she promised.
I doubt that. I don't think they're allowed to have any contact, honestly, because they'll do that. That's just crazy. I can't believe that.
I have a hard time with it because I have a niece that's 15, and I can't imagine her killing
At
her
12
family.
years old, yeah. She was 12 when she did that.
Mm-hmm. But I can't picture doing it at 15, so I can't imagine her even thinking of it at 12.
Yeah.
Even though they said it was insanity. So insane that they could plan it out, huh?
Oh, yeah, well, that didn't work out too well for him. I think you gotta work your way to insanity. Like, people like, yeah, that girl was insane. She wasn't right in the first place. I wouldn't be surprised that she did this under insanity, but she didn't even do that. I didn't even pre-plan that. She could have acted insane for a little bit. Patience. um, that's just and they killed the dog. He killed the dog. I'm upset about they killed the dog. He did nothing.
So, you think she's gonna change her name and everything?
Uh, she might. I honestly think they probably. I bet you it doesn't say, but I bet you she probably moved somewhere. No, because she went to the Canadian college. But I wonder if she did change her name and change her identity, like her hair and stuff like that. She might have because that's all. Um. Well, they could look her up and it wouldn't tell anyway because it's sealed.
Right, but
So.
I mean.
But I would if I were her. I'd move out of Canada altogether. Change my name, move out of there.
That's
Oh,
what
yeah.
I'm saying. I mean, people are gonna be able to look this up and be like,
Well, if she moves out of Canada, move somewhere else. Don't move to Ohio. But I'm just saying if she moves like Texas or something like that, we're not gonna really know her unless we're into this kind of thing.
that he's still sitting in jail.
Oh yeah, he's got life, but he's got the possibility of parole. But I doubt he's gonna get out though. I highly
Well,
doubt.
it said it was on the show Deadly Women.
Oh, Deadly Women.
Yeah.
She wasn't even a woman when she did it, but
It says Investigation Discovery Show Deadly Women, and it's got a due to her age, they call her
JR.
JR.
It's called Forbidden Love. It's the first segment of the episode Forbidden Love.
So.
Oh, it's also been featured on Killer Kids, a Canadian documentary and reenactment of the Jasmine was given a pseudonym Amanda Patterson. Oh, so her name is Amanda Patterson in that one. That's crazy. I'll have to watch those. I probably
I'm trying to think.
now
If I
Forbidden
heard
Love. I know I've
of Killer
seen that one
Kids
before. You never watched Killer Kids?
It says featured on Killer Kids.
Yeah, I've watched that show before. I probably have seen it and just never thought about it. Just like Forbidden Love, I probably seen that one because I watch that kind of stuff, but I just probably never thought about it. So.
You think it would stick though, knowing she was only 12 years old? Crazy.
Well, I mean, there's consequences for your crimes like that. I mean, they can just because you're 12, don't mean you can commit murders and get away with it.
These people seem to think they can if they say I'm crazy.
They haven't planned that out too well.
Damn werewolf let her down.
Yeah, yeah.
300 years he didn't learn anything.
Canadian. And what was the other one? Deadly Women? I think I've seen that before. That sounds familiar.
How can you change your name while you're in jail when your records are all...
You can do that because remember James Michael Monroe did that? Changed his name to Tina Monroe? You can do that.
To Jackson May.
I don't know.
Alrighty then.
So, do you know what our next podcast is going to be about?
Do we have any suggestions?
Anybody got any suggestions?
Requests?
Let's see. Oops, wrong one. Why am I doing that? There's the first one. There's the one, Canada, right there. Here's one. It's called The Occult Killers. In Canada, what is it with Canada? A 7-year-old boy is murdered and partially eaten by a 14-year-old boy. We could do that one. We could do one called Psychopath Killers. A teenager who murdered 3 young children and was placed in psychiatric care. And he murdered a fellow psychiatric patient, along with another murder from the Institute. We could do
on a roll.
Hate Killers. Let's do the Psychopath one. That seems like a good one. Peter Woodcock. Peter.
That sounds like a made-up name.
Oh yeah. He's a Canadian serial killer. Let's stay away from Canada. Them bounty hunter, them hunters on the, what is it? The bounty, whatever.
Oh, you know what?
The people that ride on the horses, they need to do better. Psychopath killer. Killer Kids. Okay.
This This is the one he told me about yesterday. Jack in the Box.
We'll have to do that one next. After that, I'll write that down. So we're going to do psychopath killers. With Peter Woodcock as a teenager who murdered 3 young children, and he was placed in a psychiatric care. Should be interesting. Oh wow, look at him. David Michael Kruger, born Peter Woodcock. Oh, Kruger. Wow. Well, we'll have to get into him. Look at him. He's like a little nerd, but he looks killer but nerdy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He looks dirty, but he looks like you piss him off and that's it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. This is going to be a good one. Oh, he's deceased. Oh, this happened in 1957.
That explains the picture.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, this looks a little older.
Yeah, that explains the picture.
Wow. Oh, yeah, right here. Woodcock.
I couldn't see that from there, babe.
I just noticed
the picture
that.
itself looks from a
I
while
thought he
ago.
was Petersboro, Ontario, Canada. Peter Woodcock at Petersboro. Who does that?
Say that 5 times fast.
But why would you do David Michael Kruger? Maybe he liked Freddy Krueger. I don't know.
Maybe he wants to get away from Peter Woodcock. That's not exactly a nice name.
Yeah, hey Cock. Hey Woodcock. Yeah, Woodycock. Oh yeah, that would just be, no wonder he's killing people. That's crazy. Yeah, we'll get into him. This should be an
Definitely looks like
interesting
a-
one.
Not so nice fella there.
Yeah.
Quiet ones you gotta be careful of.
Yeah. Yeah, you got that right.
Oh my goodness.
But so we will do our next one May 3rd at 6:30 on Sunday, and we always put on our Facebook page, Pure Evil Inside the Mind of Serial Killers. We put it on that one, or K. Blasner, which is another one of our things, our Facebook pages. We'll let you know, if times change or anything like that. Like today, we were running a little bit late because of
Technical difficulties.
yes, and it still kept running late. So we decided this is how it's gonna be. Hello, host, New York. There's nothing wrong with that young man. He's just killing people. Yeah, well, that's what he's doing, all right. He's on a spree.
Nothing wrong, he's just killing people. Just!
Well, that's all normal, don't you know?
It's the day-to-day.
It's a day-to-day thing.
Oh,
We are going to go May 3rd, like I said, and then the next one is Peter Woodcock, Canadian serial killer psychopath. A psychopath killer. This is going to be interesting. And this is under Killer Kids, so he was younger when he did it. This should be interesting.
Was it Kruger or Cruiser?
Kruger. Like,
Because over here it looks like an S.
that's a G. I didn't even spell it right. I was just writing it down real fast. Kruger, like Freddy Krueger, yeah.
Got
I
no
wonder if he got
attention.
I wonder if he picked out his last name. I mean, you can do that.
You are going in and out. In and out. And in.
Okay, we'll see you guys at 6:30 on May 3rd.
Peace.
Thanks for joining us. Thanks, Facts Porcupine Podcast. Join us again May 3rd at